This here is the UMEVO Note Plus, and it's not just a digital recorder, but it also has the latest model of ChatGPT built in to summarize your calls and voice notes. So stay tuned, because in this video, I'll explain what this device is for. I'm telling you, this is not a conventional recorder, and many of you wouldn't even know if I didn't tell you what this device is for. What this device will do is record our voice notes and our phone calls. That way we can later transfer them to the mobile app and analyze them with the latest model of ChatGPT. This will allow us to make transcriptions, summaries of the conversations, open tables with idea outlines, and of course the most complicated thing, which is to ask questions about those conversations. We will look at all of this in depth later, but before we begin, I want to say that this option is going to be one of the best you can find in terms of the price you will pay for it. It's going to be much cheaper than, for example, PLAUD, which we've seen in other videos, which is more expensive, costing up to $388 per year. In this case, the most you'll pay is going to be $69 or 79 euros, but this will be the most expensive option. You will have free plans, intermediate ones, and of course, the most complete one I'm mentioning for 80 euros a year. In this case, we won't lose the artificial intelligence features at any time. They'll just reduce the number of minutes we can have recorded or analyzed with artificial intelligence. And before continuing with the features of this UMEVO Note Plus, let's talk about the technical specifications, which are very simple. First, in terms of design, it has a metal build. The size is roughly about the same as a regular bank card or debit card. In this case, it's made of metal, quite sturdy. It looks very durable. And on the front, we have a line design with some small stripes and then the brand name in one corner. We only have two buttons, one that lets us select between call mode and normal voice recording mode. And a little button that, if we press it for a long period of time, will turn the device on or off. And if we give it short taps, will we start or stop a recording? On the top, we have two microphones that will pick up the audio so it can be analyzed later. And on the back, we will find some pins that will be useful to us, both to charge the battery of this device and to transfer files if we want, for example, to a computer via USB. This UMEVO Note Plus can be found in three colors: metallic black, rose gold, and this one we have here, which is metallic blue, a rather dark shade but leaning towards blue. Now, how does this UMEVO Note Plus work? Well, it's super simple. The first time, we just turn it on and set it up with our mobile app. You just have to let it connect to the nearby device. It does everything automatically. On the screen, it shows the battery and that we're connected to the phone via Bluetooth. And of course, it also shows the recording mode we're in. As I mentioned, we can change it by moving this slider, so we can switch between normal voice recording or a call recording mode, where it will detect the other person's call through the vibrations made by the phone itself. Honestly, it works great and captures the other person's voice very well. Before anything else, I'll share the technical specifications you should know about this UMEVO Note Plus. For example, the battery has a capacity of 400 milliamp hours, we have 64 GB of internal storage, and charging is done with a 5-volt 1-amp charger. That is, the typical phone chargers we all have at home. Recording is done in MP3, and we have approximately 40 hours of recording time. The weight is 30 grams, and the audio bitrate is 32 kilobits per second. Of course, it's compatible and very easy to use, and Windows, now it is, and it's very easy to use with the possibilities of this new Note Plus. The first thing you should know, is that it's appreciated. The recording button is pressed and the bitrate is 30 grams. Bigger than the other one, and the one with milliamp hours, recording time, milliamp hours 1. Also, once it's turned on, we can slide this button here to switch between normal voice recording and call recording. During the call, it will detect the other person's voice better through vibrations, the one on the other side of the phone. Now, with a tap, we start recording, and with another tap, we stop recording. This is really simple. There's no need to study anything or look at the instruction manual. Now, how do we connect this, for example, to the phone if we want to take it to the university and record a class? Or, for example, if we want to record, as I was saying, phone calls. For that, this UMEVO Note Plus includes this little case here with MagSafe. This is designed so we can stick it to the back of our phones. As you'll see, the UMEVO Note Plus goes inside this case. And now, for example, here I have my iPhone 12 mini and I can attach it magnetically to the back. It would be like the wallet that Apple sells us for the phones, but in this case, we have this recorder and we can use it the same way from here. Now, before we look at the little case, real practical functionality, which I'm going to show you on the table, I just want to tell you about the battery life. The battery life and recording, the storage we actually have available is really impressive. We get a ton of hours out of it. The battery, for example, today I've been recording for about an hour and a half and it's at 84 and still close to 80, which I saw in the app before I started recording the video. I mean, honestly, the battery life is super long. I'm going to show you practical examples. Once we record these conversations, like an interview or a chat with a friend, we transfer them to the mobile app where we can do several things. The first thing is to generate a transcription that tells us word for word everything we've said. Afterwards, we can also generate a summary, which will give us the important points of the whole conversation in a brief and concise way. Finally, it will be able to generate an outline of everything we've talked about. And for me, the most important part for me is being able to use ChatGPT 5 to ask questions about the conversation we've recorded, for example, in a job interview. For example, asking, hey, what are the conditions for being on call in this job? Well, it searches for it in the conversation and answers you just as if it were ChatGPT. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is install the AI app from IDVR Link, and once we open it, we're gonna connect our device at the top here, our UMEVO Note Plus. In this case, now that we have it connected, it's going to show us information about the battery, the current mode it's in, which right now is call mode. We can change it, for example, to voice note mode. We would see it there, and then it gives us some internal data from the device itself, like, for example, audio segmentation. If we want to enable USB support, or simply want it to be used for charging, well, I suppose it's for security reasons. And here we can, well, update the firmware or format the device. Well, certain things, but what really matters to us in the end is how useful it is. Here the recordings we've made with this UMEVO Note Plus will appear. In this case, for example, I want to edit the name of this last recording now. I'm going to label it as a random recording because it was a phone conversation with random content. Okay, I've prepared several tests today that I wanted to do with this UMEVO Note Plus. I started by doing a job interview. In this case, I'll try to redact some information that might be sensitive, but I do want you to see how this device works. Afterwards, I was talking with a friend about pipes in apartments. This was over the phone. You can see here that it says call, and then we have a conversation or a call I made to the dentist, in which the recording told me they weren't available at the moment. Let's start from this point. Here, once the call recording is done, we can listen to it, of course.
This is contact with Dr. Baraboa's office. Our office hours are from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday to Friday.
Alright, I hope you heard it, and here we could play it at different speeds. Slower, faster, move forward or trim the recording if we want. For example, I could remove this last part.
Our hours are from 10 in the morning to 8 in the evening from Monday to Friday. Sorry for the inconvenience, thank you.
Alright, and this is where the conversation ends, so I'm gonna cut it here as well. We could do it in a smart way, or we could do it manually like I'm doing now. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. We keep that part and save it, and now we have both the original and the trimmed version. Once the recording is done, the first thing we can do is a transcription. Let's see, for example, in this case, a template. Well, I'm going to say it was a call in Spanish. Nothing here. Let's set the speaker ID, and as for the artificial intelligence model, we're going to use GPT-5, which would be the most modern one. So we just let it process, and here it's already giving us the transcription of what was said. You've reached Dr. Baragon's office. Our hours are from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, here it gives us the option to edit it manually if something wasn't fully understood. Everything's fine. And we could ask the artificial intelligence. So for example, I'm gonna ask the artificial intelligence what time I can call on a Thursday. You can call the office on a Thursday between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Anyway, we could ask more questions here, but later we'll see this in a much better application. Here we can already see it change the name for us and added our recorded text. Now let's watch the interview I recorded this morning. And I recorded it as a normal voice note because it wasn't over the phone, it was on the computer. So I'm just gonna go in here and take the full transcript from this 35-minute recording and I'm gonna have it summarized for me using artificial intelligence. It asks us for a template, so look, I'm just gonna select that it was an interview. I guess this also helps it do its thing, you know, to process it. I'm just gonna put there that it's an interview in Spanish and have it processed with GPT-5, but as you've seen, we could use other different models. I'm gonna use GPT-5 and I'll just let it work. I guess this will take a bit longer because it's 35 minutes of audio. Well, it took about 2 or 3 minutes, and now we have the 35-minute interview summarized here. There will be some details that it understands perfectly, that it's an interview. It's giving me information about the interview, time and date. It was at 3 in the afternoon. Honestly, that's pretty good. It lacks the location, interviewer, and interviewee. It didn't pick that up during the conversation, so add these fields if needed. If we want to complete them, it leaves it up to us to do it. Here, it's giving me some initial context, explaining this is an interview for a position on the team handling infrastructure management at Atlassian. It tells me, well, that Alejandro is the candidate, that's me, Guillermo and Javi were the members, well, manager in Atlassian. The structure and size of the group are 30 people working in support, the name of the team, some clients, and that we are around 13,000 users. Some things that are used, for example, in AWS Cloud, EC2, EC3, RDS, use of landing zones. Well, this is everything it has understood so far, and here's a really big summary. For example, he tells me that the next step in the interview will be to send the invitation by email, and they will stay in touch to move forward with the process. Here he is giving me, for example, also some information about on-call shifts, which is something we discussed in the interview, 1 week out of every 3. Normally, there are very few activations. There have been 2 in 5 months, and one of them was due to human error. And well, if you go over a certain number of hours, you get paid extra. We have an SLA with a response time of about 15 minutes, and resolution depends on priority. Well, anyway, now we have the possibility to ask the artificial intelligence questions because it already has all the context. Okay, I was gonna ask if, in the case that I'm on call and they only call me for 1 hour during the week, would I get paid anything extra besides the on-call duty itself? And it's telling me clearly that if they call me for 1 hour during the on-call week, I wouldn't get any extra money since you only get paid extra if you exceed 3 hours of activations that week. In this case, he did it perfectly. Honestly, in these kinds of situations, I think it's a tool that can, besides keeping a log of recordings since it's an audio recorder, give us the possibility to ask questions about an entire conversation. If we've missed something or weren't paying attention, having it saved here and being able to ask questions about it is really great to me. It also provides key details, such as the payment structure. You receive a fixed amount for the on-call week. In my specific case, I would only get extra fixed pay for being on call if they call me for more than 3 hours. The rotations are 1 week out of every 3. On-call shifts are usually not very demanding, so in conclusion, no, I wouldn't get paid more if they only call me for an hour during the week. Anyway, we can ask him any kind of question, but I don't want to take up too much time either. And here we can give him the option to generate a map with all the ideas discussed during the conversation. In this map, for example, in this section, we have specified all the technologies we've talked about. AWS, monitoring, infrastructure, Terraform, Ansible, well, in short, workplace technologies. And here it's showing us the main technologies and tools mentioned under this setup. Anyway, honestly, I think this is really top notch, and let's do one last example, which would be about talking on the phone, a conversation with a friend about lime scale in the pipes, and buying an apartment. Let's set the template to a normal everyday call and have it generate that summary. Here we have a call with a friend, and again, it gives us the location, time, participants, and well, a summary in an informal conversation about problems, about lime scale in the home systems, especially in the hot water and heating system. Afterwards, we talked about renting a subsidized housing unit in Castile and Leon. Here, we've been talking about some things we've seen on the internet, and well, it gives me all this information. Now we could ask it a question in the same way and also see the full transcript of the call. This would be literally word by word. Well, I think with this, you can get an idea of the possibilities this application offers together with the UMEVO Note Plus. Now we just have to look at this microphone here, which allows us to start a recording, import audio, or real-time transcriptions, or even conversations with people who speak different languages. For example, now I'm going to record some audio in Spanish, and it will automatically translate it into English. I'm recording a video about an AI recorder. This week it has been raining, and next week it will be sunny. And here it would show it to us in text and also play it through the speaker, although I'm not sure if you were able to hear it very well. And finally, in My, we have information like the time we've been using the app, the files we have, the minutes recorded, a heat map, the membership that we have for free for a year, and whether you want to buy it or use the free plan, we could do it from here. Directly with the annual plan or the monthly plan, you can see the prices for the top plan. The top of the line option would be 80 euros per year, and it would include absolutely everything with no limits. But as I said, we have a free year to try it out here. Well, we have some other sections. The recording settings, which is the same as what we saw before. A user guide, the about section, and the transcripts that we could also access from here. Finally, let me mention the price, which is actually quite low, or affordable, or reasonably priced. It would be $149 right now. If we find a cheaper price, we'll leave it for you below in the description. However, you have to keep in mind that this includes 1 year of artificial intelligence for free. After that free year, we have 3 options. Use it for free if we use it just a little. Use the intermediate plan that gives us some minutes of transcription, recording, and so on. And finally, the unlimited plan, which is the one that costs 80 euros. And with that, the UMEVO Note Plus covers absolutely all our needs. So with that said, guys, I hope you found the video interesting. If you liked it, leave a like. Any questions, leave them below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.